Thank you for hosting us. So for those who are just tuning in this week, we did run the first spotlight as a part of the CAP Awards Spotlight series a few weeks ago, and that was all about life cycle advocacy. So we are running a number of these, which is really exciting because we have the chance to hear from all of our finalists from the Captivate CAP Awards. So we just love giving all of our finalists some of that spotlight to talk about the great work that they're doing. And then the community has the opportunity to ask questions and learn from that as well. So for today, we are talking all about advocate engagement campaigns. And I'm really excited to have Kate Sugru here from Intercom. We have Rob Eyre from WorkLeap. I expect that we'll have Bryn Haynem joining us from Amplitude as well shortly. So hopefully Bryn is able to join us today. And we are going to hear all about the amazing campaigns that they've run this year and have all been selected as finalists. And Kate at Intercom's submission was selected as the winner this year. So again, thrilled to have you here. I'll do a short round of introductions and then I will hand it over to you, Kate and Rob, to tell us a little bit more about your campaign, and then we'll dive into some Q&A. And the audience members from the community, feel free to jump in if you have questions. We definitely want to have a discussion today. So Q&A is encouraged. But again, I want to welcome our finalists. So we have Kate Sugru from Intercom. Kate is a senior manager of the advocacy and community marketing teams at Intercom. And then we also have Rob Eyre, who is a manager of customer marketing at WorkLeap. So welcome to today's call. Kate and Rob, I'd like to hand it over to you just to tell us a little bit more about your roles.
Wonderful. Will I just jump in and go first, so?
Absolutely. I think we have Bryn as well. So Bryn, after Rob and Kate have a chance to introduce themselves, I'll hand it over to you as well, and you can give us a bit of a background.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm Kate Zugru. I'm the Senior Manager of Advocacy and Community Marketing at Intercom. For those of you who don't know what Intercom is, just to give you a brief overview, we're an AI-first customer service platform. We support over 25,000 businesses worldwide. And our purpose really is to help businesses provide incredible online customer service. I've been with the company for about 7.5 years now, which is a long time in tech land. And before then, previously, I worked at Twitter for 5 years. I've moved around a lot in my career. I always refer to my career not as a career ladder, but more as a career jungle gym. And really the through thread in all of that has been my passion for customer experience, working with customers and problem solving as well. So no matter kind of what role I was playing in across different companies, that's always been what I've been most drawn to and most passionate about. And yeah, really excited to be invited to speak with everyone here today. I'll hand over to Rob.
Thanks, Kate. Big Intercom user over here, actually, at WorkLeap. So, hey, everybody, I'm Rob Eyre. I know a few folks on the call here. So I'm currently with a company called WorkLeap, which is the company that we submitted this award through. So WorkLeap has two sides of our business. The award that we submitted for was on our HR tech side. So we run a platform for employee experience. If you've heard of a software called Office Vibe, that's one of the tools within our platform. So all about employee engagement, pulse surveys, helping HR teams and managers get a pulse of their employees' happiness, their employees' feelings about recognition, relationships with managers, all of that. I just preface that because it's a little bit of a part of how we kind of went about building this campaign. So you may recognize me from my past role at Influitive. So I was there last year and then moved over to WorkLeap. I'm just excited to be here chatting with this community. It's always a big help to sort of to hear from everybody and understand what everybody else is doing out in the world. So excited to be here. Bryn.
Over to you, Bryn. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Apologize. I'm really sick today, so my voice sounds a little bit weird, but I'm going to try to get through this as much as possible. So, I lead our brand and content team at Amplitude. If you haven't heard of Amplitude, we are a digital analytics company. We started out in the product analytics space, but now we have a suite of offering for marketers and for data people as well. Throughout my career, I've always loved working with customer advocacy teams. So at Amplitude, I work with our customer marketing team on all of our campaign content, all of our case studies, and anything related to the website. So I'm happy to be here chatting with you all today.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Bryn. I'm so sorry you're not feeling well, but I'm really glad that you could still join us today.
Don't worry. Yeah.
I'm really excited to hear about the AHA campaign. So we've got three fantastic campaigns to hear about for today. So I would love to start us off, just so everyone who's tuning in from the community has an understanding of the campaigns that were selected as finalists as part of this year's CAP Awards. So we'll start off, would love to hear Bryn about the AHA campaign, and then we'll hear from Rob on WorkLeap's employee experience campaign, employee experience leader campaign, and then we'll go over to Kate and we'll talk about the Fin 5000 campaign.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, yeah, so the AHA campaign, we started the concept about 2 years ago at Amplitude, and it really came out of this idea of we want to go and create a brand campaign and leverage our customers. So we just kind of started with the concept of people having this aha moment within Amplitude. Could be anything from like a new feature to build or something's not working on their checkout page, right? So we went out, our customer advocacy team probably talked to 50 different customers. We really wanted to get to the best stories. So in our campaign, it's mostly a video campaign. We knew we were going to use it through Google retargeting. Our paid media team was going to do a bunch of ads with it. So we needed all different links. We went out, we found an agency to work with. We worked with Teak, who's a agency in San Francisco that we've worked with before. They did really great work. We went through their portfolio. We looked at what other campaigns have they done. And then we really started to kind of concept our campaign. So they came back to us with a few ideas. We worked with them on kind of just refining it to fit our brand a little bit more. We used our shapes, which is kind of a reference to data. So if you've watched the campaign, you might see kind of the background and the set and everything. We spent quite a while talking through that with them. In terms of the customer stories, we really workshopped them with the customers. I think we did 2 prep calls with our customers, and we boiled it down to what is that aha moment. And I think that's one of the hardest thing about telling customer stories is getting them to say it in a succinct way on camera, right? So a lot of people, they get nervous on camera, they don't know exactly how to say it. So I think those workshopping calls really, really helped us refine the content in their talk track. And they met the production team on those calls, so they felt more comfortable when they got on site. And we really filmed everything in 2 days. So we got a studio out in Oakland. We flew all of our customers in. It was like quite a logistical undertaking for our team. There was like 5 or so of us on set that worked on the campaign, but we really curated the experience for the customers as well. We used the opportunity for them to meet with our Amplitude customer success teams while they were there. We did dinners, we took them out to lunch and everything as well. So we made it an experience for them when they came to this set as well. But a lot of customers loved it. They loved being on set, being in front of the camera. It was an experience for them. We took a bunch of behind the scenes footage that we were able to use in the campaign as well. Yeah, and then in terms of the marketing around it, we really had a large bill of materials. So we thought of everything from, how are we going to put this into like snackable, bite-sized social videos? Our landing page, we have kind of a landing page now that's been like through with us for 2 years. So I think we have like 12 videos on it at this point, but we just point everything back to that, make sure that we're, getting the traffic on that landing page. We also did an ebook to go along with the campaign. So that's kind of our demand side of it. And it actually is performing really well. We weren't sure how it was going to perform from a lead generation perspective, but now it's one of our top performing assets. In the second year that we did the campaign, we've just added those new stories. So yeah, that's actually doing incredibly well. Our paid media team loves it. So yeah, that's kind of like all of the elements of it. I guess any questions on it? I don't know if that's okay to open it up to any to the team to ask any questions.
Sure.
Oh,
Liz
did we
just popped
gate
in the
it?
chat with a
Yeah,
question.
that's a good question. We did gate it. We went back and forth on that really, especially the first year. I was worried it wouldn't be enough content, the stories wouldn't be meaty enough. We did do blog posts, so that was another thing of like we wanted to make the ebook different enough for the blog post. We added this how to do it in Amplitude section within the ebook. So that really helped it be a little bit more thorough. And there was like a little bit more content that at least was offered within the ebook versus the blogs. Yeah, but
Right.
we did decide ultimately to gate it.
And then did you create a net new ebook for the second year running the campaign, or
We
did you
added to
add
the
on top?
first one. Yeah, we added to the first one. And actually, that's something I did. I previously worked at a company called Medallia, and we had by the end an ebook with 70 customer stories in it that our sales team loved. And we would actually print
Mhm.
it, they would take it on site. So I do
Right.
think there's value in like having a really substantial customer story ebook that you're constantly adding to, just to have a really, beautiful big set of customer stories, right? In terms of distribution, yeah, we did a lot. So we worked with our social team to advertise it on social, both organic and paid. And then our paid media team also put a bunch of retargeting Google ads behind it. And they have probably 50 assets. And this was one of their top performing assets in terms of conversion rates that they saw. So they really loved it and were excited about us kind of updating it and adding those new stories as well. Yeah, and then in terms of organizing the stories by category, we've only done maybe like 14 at this point. So we're not
Mhm.
at that point, but I do think at some point we do need to organize it by categories. We'd probably organize it either by persona, so we have like our data persona, our marketing persona, and our
Right.
product persona, or we might organize it by product, but we haven't made that decision yet. We will probably next year.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. We'll come back around. We've got more questions and there will be open Q&A. So if you have more
Yeah, of
questions
course.
for
Yeah.
Brandon, the AHA campaign, absolutely we'll get to those. Let's hear from Rob and the Employee Experience Leader Program campaign.
Cool. Thanks, Bianca. So I'll try and take you on a journey, story journey. I'm trying to remember too, because it's like the start of the year that we did this program. But I've been at WorkLeap for about 2 or 3 months, and WorkLeap, especially on the HR tech side, I mean, all of it really is a very product-led company. And underneath that, like especially on the Office vibe, the way I really view Office vibe as a product, it's like a human analytics software, right? So your employees are constantly giving you data, they're giving you responses to surveys, and the way that we kind of aggregate that and show it back to managers is like through an employee engagement score, so 1 out of 10 employee engagement score, and then these 10 key engagement metrics, and then of course an ENPS.
Mhm.
So what had happened kind of early on, about 2 months in, I'd gotten a message from one of our enterprise CSMs and our head of product who was asking for benchmark data specifically for a churn risk customer because they wanted to see, where is our employee engagement score compared to other companies? Because if we're going to renew this, we need to have, thresholds to be able to understand, okay, well, like how are we comparing? Where do we have to go? How do we get better? We really wanted a score for that. Luckily, in joining this company, we had about a 6-person data analytics team, like dedicated to customer software and customer data. So they were able to go in, pull all this data. We put together a kind of reusable PowerPoint that CSM was able to use. So that's sort of context one. Context two, then our CO or our general manager at the time then came to me and the product marketing team and said, hey, is there a way for us to use product data to do, it was a pretty loose description, but the way I interpret it was kind of like an awards program. Is there some way that we can recognize the best of our customers? And his request at this point was just basically say, hey, like you're doing really well. Could you share this on social media or something like that? And he basically was like, does anybody want to take this on? I was like, well, that's pretty customer advocacy. I'd been just coming off of doing the Influitive Awards program. I was like, I think I can kind of turn this into an awards program style approach. So what we did, I went back to the data team and I said, hey, can you give me all of our customers and give me all of their employee engagement, all of their engagement scores. And then what I did was I took that and I said, let's celebrate the top 10 of our SMB customers, our mid-market customers, and our enterprise customers. And then we put those together. We figured out who the 10 were. And then the way that we rolled it out was we identified them. We kind of built a brand view for this called the Employee Experience Leaders Program. We set a date. We said, okay, we're going to make the big announcement on this date. But then I did a big work back before that. So I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks before, we reached out to customers and said, hey, congratulations, you're on this list. You're, the top 10 of however many customers. And then within that email, what I did was I gave them obviously social assets that they could use to share on social, because that was the kind of the big ask that had come from the general manager at the time. I gave them a PR template so they could share this on social. I gave them badges. I kind of tried to like do that sort of G2 category crowd sort of idea. Here's a badge that you can put on your careers page, whatever it is. I gave them and this is going to like the HR team. So I gave them a manager recognition template as well, because the reason that they have a high engagement score is because their managers are doing a hell of a good job. So I was like, take this email and send it to them and say, hey, like, we as a company are being recognized because you're such a great manager. And we gave them a executive recognition as well, so they could then send that up to the top 2 and say, hey, like, we just got recognized as an EX leader by our software vendor. And then finally, this was the first program that we launched in using Slap 5. So we brought on Slap 5 and we used them kind of as a remote capture tool for this, as well as a way to early capture some advocates, which had been, something as an organization before I started that wasn't really top of mind. It was like, oh, maybe we'll get a case study here. We'll try to do one a month. But, it was that kind of classic motion that a lot of folks, I'm sure on this call, are kind of in, where it's like, it's reactive. It's like, gosh, I need like a story for this. Like, hey, CSMs, do you have somebody? Hey, and so I was like, I need to like figure out a way to do this in the customer journey and kind of like throughout and just be identifying and capturing all that. So we kind of used this program for that. So in that email, we sent them, hey, can you give us a testimonial as well? So they had about 2 weeks to do that. All in all, I think we had 60 from 20. So it was 20. So we had 60 total customers that we identified for this. Then we launched it and we went live and said, hey, congratulations to all of these people. And the feedback and the response was really positive, and it helped to kind of establish an understanding of what advocacy can mean for the company. So within that sort of 2-week, 3-week window, we were able to capture, I think it was 20 or 21 like fully developed case studies. So by using Slap 5, people would come in, they'd answer these 3 questions either in video or written, and then I just used Slap 5 to automatically create a templated page. So it was like super easy to just push out a case study right at the end. So we had 20 case studies. I think we had about, I have it pulled up here actually. We had a bunch of people posting on social media, both on their personal pages. They had their corporate pages posting on it. So there was really good visibility that people were really excited about this. And then kind of going back to one of the like, even before we started this program with that whole CSM and the head of product, within the launch of the EX Leaders Program, we also created a benchmark data report as well, because we'd already pulled all of this. We released a segmented benchmark data report that then the teams have been able to use throughout the year. And when a customer comes to them now and says like, hey, what is my relationship with manager score compared to companies in my region or companies in my industry, we've now got a report. So it was kind of like double duty, where we created this asset that was able to be used both in lead gen and in sort of customer conversations. So then we pushed it live. We got a lot of case studies from it, and now it's just sort of become a staple element of the Workleap kind of customer advocacy portfolio that we try to kind of repeat, and we're going to try to do one a year and just make it an annual program that we do, and recognizing customers for the great work that they do with their employees, and that their employees are enjoying their experiences with them.
That's awesome. So you actually like surprised your customers with this recognition, like they didn't know it was coming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the total surprise and delight, and there was no expectation too of them like providing anything back for us, but they wanted to, because they recognized that like the more that they gave us, we were able to turn that around. And then like I think the nice thing too with those assets, then so we had that like launch date, but one of the things I remember Brendan probably know Ari from Amplitude. He always likes to use rolling thunder as the term. We were able to kind of do a rolling thunder with this, where it was like because we had all of those case studies plus the testimonials. I think it was like basically we had 3 months of weekly customer stories that were going out because
Wow.
we position them as like, hey, like we're going to celebrate you on this week. Here's a social post, here's a case study, here's a blog post, whatever it is. And it was like kind of like an ongoing motion to like celebrate them, not just that one inflection point of announcing these winners.
Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I love the additional content that you got out of it as well, like being able to share those case studies. Yeah, that's fantastic. Great. Okay, Kate, let's go over to you. I'd love to hear about the Fin 5000 campaign and how that worked for Amplitude.
Yeah.
Intercom. We just talked. I'm so sorry. Ren, yeah, Kate, I apologize. Intercom, hear the Fin 5000.
Hi,
Yeah, we're
Bianca. I just wanted to say there are a couple of questions. One from Kate when I think Bryn was talking, and one from Emily in chat if you scroll up a little bit.
Oh, yes. Can we go back up?
And
Great.
if you'd like to address those. That's all.
Sure.
Sorry.
No, thank you. Thank you for raising those. Let's address those questions and then we'll, Kate, back over to you. But question for Bryn from Emily, did you bring in users or execs when you were working on the AHA campaign
Yeah,
survey?
that's a great question. We definitely had to bring in execs. I think just with like the cost of the campaign and everything, we had to bring them along throughout. So really our CMO was the first person that we went to. We kind of pitched the campaign concept and the idea. She was really keen on like, how are we going to get more demand out of this? So actually that's where that ebook idea came in. She was really pushing for that. We loved the idea as well. So yeah, I think, she loved the creative concept. It was more about like, how can we get more leverage out of it? We also pitched the idea of like, hey, can we roll this out one customer a week the first year? She loved that too. We just found that was a really tight production schedule because I think we were producing like 7 assets in addition to the video. We had like quote cards, we had little reels, we had GIFs and everything on social. So the second year we just spaced it out a little bit more. But our execs love it. Like they all engaged with the content. We worked with our comms team to make sure that they were posting it on their social channels as well, just to get more distribution. Users, I mean, definitely in terms of the folks that were in the video, and that's always one of the most challenging parts is, as you all know, getting them to approve it. This year we had a lot of ROI metrics in that they wanted to, like some of them were just not okay with some of the growth metrics and stuff that we were sharing. So that's always a back and forth of figuring out what can we get in the video and what are they ultimately comfortable with, right? So that is that back and forth with the customers. Yeah, and then the second one, I think
Questions about the distribution. Like, how did you distribute the book from Kate?
Yeah, so we did a series of social posts. The ad strategy was like the biggest thing. We always create ads for our paid team. They were able to get it out. We also distributed it internally, obviously enabling our sales team with it, getting on all their calls, walking through the assets, walking through the videos. I think that's a big part of it is just making sure that everybody is aware of what exists, and it gets harder as you scale at an organization, right? So just making sure that you're on all the right calls and getting the content in front of everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, Bryn. I've got a question for Rob in the chat as well, and then we'll jump back over to Kate. But Rob from Liz, how did you get your customers to sign release forms, or how did you treat that type of marketing engagement?
Yeah, that was kind of the nice thing with Slap 5 because the people that came in and recorded a video or did a testimonial, there's just like a icon down below that they cannot indicate whether or not you can use it for internal, external, or that. So we put that in the email and said, hey, by like filling this out, just be sure to check out this. We had like screenshots of how it went in a video kind of recording of what that experience would be like, and was like, hey, if you fill this out, we're deeming that as consent. And legal said, yeah, that feels good enough for consent. So they went with that.
Right, great. And then Kate's got a question in the chat as well around engagement rates with Slap 5. What did that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, it was what I guess like 30 to 40%, that kind of area for people actually like getting in and doing it. I would probably be able to look a little bit closer on just people who like clicked in and then recorded themselves, but we had 60 customers total and 20 of them recorded. So I think part of it was easy, but also, yeah, we were celebrating the work that they were already doing in like an unexpected manner. So like, oh, great. Like, I would love to be recognized, right? So, yeah, I honestly, I assumed like, I think my goal that I had for it was that we wanted to sort of generate maybe just 10 people that would be willing to like record something or share a testimonial, something like that. So we kind of doubled that was nice.
Awesome. Okay. Kate, I'm going to hand it over to you so you can tell us all about the Fin 5000 campaign and how that was run at Intercom.
Yeah, thanks a million, Bianca. I feel like I'm wasting time here because I just really want to speak to Bryn and Rob. I have so many questions about their campaigns, and they've both really lining up with challenges and I suppose not even challenges, but fun opportunities I have on the horizon as well. So, if no one else has Q&As at the end of this, I will just be hammering you with questions and probably stalking you both afterwards. So apologies in advance. But yeah, so I'll talk a bit about our Fin 5000 campaign. For a little bit of background, in March 2023, Intercom launched a brand new service solution onto the market called Fin. Fin is an AI chatbot, so very different to the old style of like decision tree chatbots or the kind of, the ones that people were building in the background. This is very much built on OpenAI and now on Anthropic's LLM models. So, a bot that's actually having proper conversations, can parse information, can speak in different tones of voice. But this was so early. I think OpenAI had only been ChatGPT, sorry, had only been launched 4 months previously. Our entire like pivoted over the weekend that was. And so we actually got a working sellable chatbot AI agent now in the market about a year before competitors. So we were really early on the product side, but as everyone knows, it's a big change and it's quite hard to shift the market perspective as well. And a huge part of this was around trust, building trust that this was different. It was different to other chatbots. It wasn't just a fad. It wasn't, that it was just the latest fancy thing and, a new style of automation, but actually is when you dig into it is just like all the rest. Or the trust that wasn't going to get your company in hot water security wise by giving out answers or anything like that. And so there was a huge amount of trust that needed to be built. And I think everyone on this call would agree that, when you're talking about building trust, the company, your sales, your marketing, they're not the people that the market trusts. It's their own peers. It's people who are in their shoes and are unbiased. We are inherently biased. And so advocacy was going to be a big part of that. We did all the usual things that you do, working with the companies who are embracing this and showcasing their stories, getting real life examples to show that real customer conversations that their customers were having with their version of the Fin agent, and putting those, building a beautiful landing page. But at the end of the day, it's still us talking. It's still us pushing it out there. And so we were kind of trying to think of a way that we could encourage people to share on social specifically, but also within their own networks, about the success that they were seeing and about their real experiences and unbiased ones, the good and the bad and the ugly, and thinking of ways that we could encourage people to do that, but in a really positive way as well, celebrating that these folks were actually, especially the people who had already kind of lent in and started leveraging this new technology and were, really brave and like innovators in their field in that sense. So yeah, there were kind of a couple of different goals. So there was making the customers feel special who were actually taking this leap with us as a company into the unknown, into this new space. We wanted them to speak about it on social in order to build this kind of trust, so be seen themselves as thought leaders, but also, communicate to the market that this was actually a big leap. This is something real and something exciting and not something to be scared of. And then a side part of that was also that we wanted our leadership team to see this kind of social momentum happening. It's something that they had specifically asked for and designated budget for. But as we all know, a lot of advocacy is untrackable. It happens behind closed doors. It happens in small conversations, in networks, in WhatsApp groups, or, all over the place that you can't track. So social is like being able to see that tip of the iceberg, and it gives you an indication that if you start to see this on social, that it's happening in other places. So it gets that buy-in as well from the exec team. So what we decided to do was we were given a budget to create this kind of social buzz. So we created the Fin 5000, basically looked at all of our customers who were embracing this new AI agent, and started to work with our data science team to understand, okay, you know, the people who are embracing it most, were seeing like large numbers of resolutions. So customer conversations that were coming into their support team that usually would have been handled by people, but now were being resolved by this AI agent as well, freeing up their support team to A, not have a massive backlog, and B, work on more meaningful tasks. So we kind of worked out the Goldilocks number there, where we were seeing the ones who were really leaning in, who we could then, with the budget that we had for a 6-month period to test this campaign out, that we could, you know, manage to gift a number of contacts in each of those companies with a really nice high value, like nice experience gift, while also making sure that it was a large enough pool that, you know, it's hard to get people to post on social, so you need that law of averages as well, like to, you know, there'd be enough people in there so that the small percentage of people who do post is still a large number of posts. So we worked with the data science team, and it seemed to work out that companies that were hitting about 5,000 Fin AI resolutions was that magic number. So yeah, that's kind of how we started. Then we designed this beautiful kind of gifting experience. We were already working with a gifting partner called Open. And the reason that we went with Open previously is because they really put a lot of thought into the gifting experience in the digital realm. They make it very easy for us on our side, but also just a really nice redemption experience for users. And so we were already working with them, which was a bit of a no-brainer then to work with them on designing these gifts, designing the gift experience. And the next thing we needed to do is really think about, okay, you know, we've all gifted multiple customers. I'm sure everyone on this call is used to sending gifts, and it's really unusual that people actually take the time to post about them, especially if you're going for the more senior stakeholders in the company. So first of all, getting people like senior leaders, SVPs, C-suite folks to actually open an email, let alone redeem a gift, let alone post about that on social, is actually really hard. I know it's something that I always find really interesting, the psychology behind it. So we really dug into, okay, what will make what do people like posting about on social, and what will make these people feel special and want to share that? So we lent into that element of making them feel like they were innovators in the space, because they are, and really making this feel like more of a club and a community that, you know, they're at the forefront of. They've gained access to this special members group, and like they were real pioneers, thought leaders in their field. And so instead of including a note card in the gift, for example, we included a certificate signed by our CEO, because we know that people do love to share accomplishments on social. So that was kind of the first thing. And the second thing was the note on the back of that certificate was from our CEO, specifically with a call to action to ask them to share it on social, like as well, and committing to responding to them. So the fact that it was coming from our CEO, who we did work with personally, this wasn't just a marketing fad. We worked with him. He has a signature on the certificate, and he responds personally on social to everyone who posts about it. So there was this added kind of personal request element. You know, if you just get a request from a business, it's quite easy to ignore. But this was our CEO, and honestly, excited about the movement of this, like, of our company, but the customers who are taking that leap with us. And so I think having him so involved in this and invested in making that personal ask was another step towards, breaking that psychological kind of cracking that code of getting people excited about posting and wanting to post. And then the gift itself was simple. We're kind of, our brand is quite classic, clean cut now. but edgy. It's hard to explain, but there's we found these beautiful like wooden carved coasters. We designed them in the shape of our like bot logo and Finn's logo. But we wanted to make sure that the gift was functional, and that, you know, it didn't matter globally. We're a global company. These folks were going to be global, so it didn't matter where they were. It wasn't like a cooler bag or a beanie hat that's seasonal and, you know, people who live in tropical climates probably won't need. Or, you know, we were trying to think of things that would not only kind of transverse, you know, location, but also genders. I don't know about yourselves, but if I get another ill-fitting t-shirt that was designed for a man, it's just, I've got enough of them taking up space. So we were really thinking about, you know, what could we do in that, like in that inclusivity field as well. And then yeah, we let me think, was there anything else to do with that campaign? I think that's the psychology behind it I've covered. And then yeah, and then every month we run the report with our data science team. We send out these invitations. We monitor on social. We've seen really high redemption rate, huge open rates for an email for folks at this level, which is wonderful. Much higher redemption rates than I expected. Kind of 16 percentage points above where we've seen like a 46% redemption rate, which I would have expected, like at a hope, 30% for an audience this that senior. So that was wonderful. We worked with the sales team to pick out up to 3 contacts in each company to gift, so that they were really able to pick the people who were most connected to this project and really understood, you know, why they were, you know, receiving this award. And yeah, and we tracked social mentions, flagged those with our CEO directly, making sure that, you know, that he is responding. But what was wonderful as well is like the whole rest of the company started responding as well. So you have our other C-suite members jumping in there, our obviously our brand handle jumping in as well. And we've just had incredible feedback. I think that the most exciting thing for me is the number of posts it generated. And not only that, but the type of posts. Like it wasn't just, hey, like look at this lovely gift we got, so proud. People just shared their stories and shared the results that they're seeing, like absolute things that we didn't ask for, things that we couldn't even have really hoped for in my wildest dreams. Yes, I would have loved to say, please include metrics A, B, and C, and how you achieve them, as we all would with anything advocacy. But they were all just so excited to share the results that they were seeing, because it's really tapped into something that they are proud of and that they do recognize as being a kind of a pivotal moment in their industry, and one that they are proud of jumping on. So I think that's been the most exciting part for me about it. Sorry, I've waffled there for a good while now.
No, I mean, there's so many questions I want to ask from just what you shared, Kate, but I think this goes into one of the discussion questions that we have for all of our finalists. So feel free to jump in. But Kate, love to hear from you first. How do you go about designing a campaign that gets that kind of response, like the engagement level from customers, just the not just opening the actual emails, but engaging with it in a way that is just so authentic, and they just really feel proud of the work that they're doing. You know, how do you start? Where do you start to build a campaign like that?
It's actually it's really hard, and I've failed at it a bunch of times as well. I'm not saying this is like oh yeah, every time I just sit down and have this wonderful successful campaign. Like we've all learned things through our careers that help, you know, tweak things. And I because I have also, or had at the time, been running our social team for a year, I had a nice balance of being immersed in social and seeing what works there and what people were sharing. So I think part of that informed it as well. But really for me, it was around thinking about, what's most valuable to these customers? What's going to emotionally connect with them, make them feel proud, make them want to share. And then just all the small pieces, like not underestimating things like the very, very, very first step of this is a gift email that they get from the And Open platform And so that subject line, that has to be right. If they don't
Right.
open, it breaks the whole process. And so thinking through that end-to-end journey, like all the way from how we choose these people, all the way to how do we like respond to their social posts. Every single point in that journey is a point where they can, you know, take their attention back, and decide to, you know, not to progress. So I think that sort of level of like attention to detail is the most important thing when it comes to engagement, like of this sort of a campaign. I think every campaign's different. Really
Yeah,
trying to get into that mindset at each tiny decision that you're making along the way. So that would be my advice on how I think about going about building an engaging campaign. And everyone is going to be different, like I said.
Yeah, I love that, the touch points. Every touch point is an opportunity to make or break the campaign. So I think that is a super good takeaway. Rob or Bryn, anything that you want to add in terms of your campaigns and like where you started building the campaigns to get that end result that you saw?
Yeah, I can share. So at Amplitude, like I think something that's really important, and this just might be the creative in me, is just going back to the brief. And we start with like, what are the main goals that we're trying to achieve? Because I think everybody can have great ideas, but if it doesn't ladder up to what are you trying to do? What's the message that you're trying to communicate? And then is this more of a brand play? Is it a demand play? Like what are ultimately the metrics that you're trying to track? So we have one slide actually at Amplitude that we have to use to pitch our CMO on any like new campaign idea. And it literally has like, what is it? What are you trying to achieve? Who's the audience? What are the goals? And we started with that. And then we kind of backed into it of like, okay, this is going to be a broad awareness campaign. What's the message we want to communicate, you know? And so I think just starting with that really, really helps direct the concept. And then you can have as much fun as you want with like brainstorming really fun concepts. You have to look back to the brief of like, okay, well, does this achieve our goals, right? And then I think what Kate said is really important as well of like mapping out really the touch points for the campaign and making sure that it is a seamless experience and that at each touch point you're communicating your message, right? So yeah, for us, it's always about the brief and going back to what are we trying to communicate and what are our overall metrics that we're tracking in our goals.
Yeah, that's great. Like never losing sight of the goal. Like it always has to go back up to the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that'll cut a lot of the noise out too, because people always like come in with like random things that, you know, take the product, that take it in a direction where you're like, well, that wasn't what we were trying to do. Or like, no, that customer doesn't make sense because here's the audiences that we're trying to
Right.
communicate with. You know, because like we struggle with that even with like with our podcast and some other things is like salespeople's always like throwing ideas over the fence, right? But if you have that document with the goals, it will help you also be able to say no to certain things that don't make sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah, super important to have that planning just really aligned right from the get-go. Rob, what about on your side? How did you start with the campaign?
Yeah, I think well, again, like because it was new, I was new to the company. I think the big area that I started with was like understanding the different teams that needed to be involved and needed to be kind
Right.
of updated throughout the process, and also like identifying who within those teams would be critical ongoing for getting me the information that I needed and having the right oversights and all of that. So I think within doing that, very similar to what Brennan said too, was understanding for each of those teams and each of those team leaders and members, like what did success of this program look like for them, so that when we got to the end of it, and even ongoing, how are we making them feel like they were making an impact on the organization through this campaign, through the work that they were doing on it. So with like the data team, that's why it was really important that we kind of like really articulated the importance of this data, both with our customers and with the organization. I think that was really reflected in them that they were showing this. The customers were showing on social media that they were sort of responding to this. So that was the big part for me, was like how do I make sure that it's just the right people that we're working with and that they're invested in this, they're interested in this, and then that we give them a payoff at the end as well, that they feel like their contribution was really valuable.
Awesome. Great. Well, another question. I know we want to get to Q&A from the rest of the community, so we'll save some time at the end for that. But one more question I want to ask is just around, how this campaign, the one that we're talking about from each of your organizations, how did it stand out from other campaigns that either you've run in the past or that your organization has run? And like, what really made it special? What really made it such a success?
I can jump in. I'll use this
Yeah,
time to
please.
answer Liz's question too. So Liz had asked, you got 15 case studies in a month. Did you use an internal agency or not? So but like what really stands out is just like the output of it for us was, and for me, was really, really strong. So um it was super intentional. Like the way that, I'm not trying to turn this like an ad for Slap Five, but like the way that I worked with Slap Five on this was it was all built in their back end, right? So like a customer would get the link to record their testimonial,
Mhm.
or write it through these 3 questions. And then using Slapify, I was able to just transfer that directly into a template. So there was some like initial work necessary. Luckily, we kind of similar to the luck we have with our built out data team. We have a pretty built out design team. So we were able to sort of pre-build the template that would exist for this. So all I really need to do was like take those story responses and plop them into this template. Just find the person's headshot if they usually would send me their headshot anyways, and then we would have a case study built. And so it was like that simple to be able to turn it around, where I didn't have to go to our content team and develop it. I didn't have to go to like an agency each time for each one of these. We were able to do that really quickly.
Yeah, fantastic. We've got a question from Liz for Kate. Oh, but Bryn, go ahead if you wanted
Oh
to.
no. Okay.
No, please do.
I think, yeah, I was just gonna say at Amplitude, I think like the outcome for us, I think we filled a gap of we didn't have high quality customer stories on video.
Mhm.
But really, I think what was so successful about it within Amplitude is just understanding what is the action that people were able to take because of Amplitude. And that I think just helped clarify our product story to the market. And that's what everybody was so excited about. Like, oh,
Right.
great, we have these customer videos that we can take to our prospects and to our potential customers and show them like this is the power of Amplitude. This is what I can do. I found this problem with this feature and it created this much ROI, right? And we were able to kind of get to that nugget. And I think that is a really difficult thing to do in a succinct way where you have like 30-second videos that you can put on social, right? So I think
Right.
that's why it was powerful and why it worked so well for us.
Love it. Kate, over to you. I know Liz has a question for you in the chat too.
Yeah, I'll answer your question first, and then I'll answer
Okay,
Liz's
sounds
question.
good.
But yeah, I think for us, the real difference between this campaign and ones that I've run before is, I think it's a unique moment. I think I touched on this earlier. It really tapped into a very unique moment in the customer service industry.
Mhm.
It has for years and years and years been a very stagnant industry when you think about it. I mean, like, how much have you heard about customer service before before the advent of like ChatGPT? It's kind of been a slow moving, very sedentary, just fixed industry that doesn't have a lot of excitement and hype around it all the time. Um, for anyone who's worked in customer service, it's a hard job, and you're always seen as a cost center. You're never seen as a value add.
Mm.
It's always questions on how you can reduce headcount, how you can, how expensive it is to service customers as you scale a company or things like
Right.
that. And it's only now that it's starting to actually be one of the most exciting organizations within a company. It certainly is within our company, and it's changed hugely in the last, I'd say in the last 2 years. And so I think we're tapping into this real excitement and emergence of what customer service can be, and probably to some extent always has been in terms of the value that it adds to the business. But
Mhm.
now they're able to prove it, and now they're able to to really scale their impacts in ways that just weren't possible before, and to provide the level, especially online, the level of customer experience that, you know, our CEO would always say, you know, online customer service is kind of hasn't been great since the dawn of the internet. You know, we've all got used to the fact that you're just not going to get the same level of immediate service as you would if you walked into a shop. And everyone's kind of just been okay with that since the start of the internet. And now we can turn that table. We can, you know, actually deliver that sort of 24/7 multi-language, immediate support, while also keeping humans in the mix as well. It's not just, you know, even though we're an AI first platform, it's not just about AI and bots. It's very much about the symbiosis of working together. But I think we really just tapped into that moment, and the excitement that's there. So I think like part of it was just, yeah, that sort of serendipity, to be honest. And that's what has made it extra special, I think, compared to some of the other campaigns that I've been part of.
Yeah, I love it. It's like that moment that comes along and you're able to make the most of it and really tap into it. And then you just get all the magic that happens from that. No, the timing is so important.
Yeah, totally. And I'll just answer Liz's question. So there are
Yes.
results. Yeah, I actually just ran all of the results yesterday because we are excited about thinking about that. Like our test period is just over. We were running from May to October was the actual kind of test period. And so you know, we won this award while we were still testing, which is wonderful. We were already seeing such great results at that stage. Yeah, there are some numbers that I can share and some that I can't. But we were able to, we gifted, or at least we sent emails to 100% of the companies that hit that 5,000 milestones. On average, there was it worked out about 2 contacts per customers. As I said, the redemption rate, like the email open rate was 77%, which is for me incredible. The redemption rate came in at 46%, which is 16 percentage points above what I thought it would do. And we had 100% of those gifts were delivered, which is, for anyone who, as I said, has been working in gifting before, it's really hard when you're working on a global campaign to actually be able to get these gifts to everyone involved. So shout out to our partner. I know Liz asked who they were. So they're called And Open, like ampersand open. And they're a wonderful company who we've been working with for a number of years. And we work with for our employee gifting as well. So they do all of our like onboarding gifting and stuff as well, which is brilliant. Let me see. Yeah, the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. So as part of the And Open digital experience, they make sure that they receive the redemption email. If they don't redeem, they get reminders. But once they do redeem as well, they also get obviously all the tracking information. And then once it's delivered, you know, were there any issues or how did you like it? And they get to, you know, almost like a CSAT from customer support. You know, how did you like the gift and would you like to leave a comment? And so 94% of the feedback that we actually got a large amount of feedback, and 94% of it was positive. Some of them, the gift just wasn't to their taste and they let us know, which I always love hearing the other side of the coin as well, and understanding like we can't please everyone, and just understanding that, but overwhelmingly positive was great. And then 8% of them posted on social, which was fantastic. I had like generally I would estimate from other campaigns I've run about 5% of people, if you're really lucky. For this, because it was more senior people, I was thinking, okay, 2 or 3 realistically. So the fact that it was 8% was incredible. And we're still seeing, you know, posts coming as well. And the potential reach then of those posts was over like 31,000 people. So really, you know, and for us, again, you know, the power of seeing somebody post about something kind of, I know they obviously like included the gift, but it wasn't scripted. They were saying the bits that they struggled with or things that, you know, were a bit more difficult, but they were very honest posts. And I think that's for me, it was, yeah, the content of the post that's the real winner there. And obviously, being in advocacy, we were able to reach out to them all and ask for permission to use quotes from them, to use screen grabs of them, all of the lovely, nice extra things, you know, we do at the end of the day as well. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see how we can develop this group of Fin 5,000. We already have a number of people in the Fin 50,000 group, so I have to figure out what to do for those folks now. But yeah, there's some of the results I can share.
Amazing. Thank you, Kate. I know you're basically at time, but if there's any final questions, we can spend the last minute with a lightning round. No? Okay. Well, thank you so much. I just want to give a shout out to Intercom, to Amplitude, to WorkLeap. Congrats. These are amazing campaigns. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. Really appreciate you sharing all of the insights. I think this has been just a hugely valuable conversation. So thank you so much. And yeah, congrats again to all of you.
Thank you so much, Bianca. Thank you,
you.
Rob and Bryn, and oh boy, my mind, Kate, sorry, for coming on today and sharing. Thank you, Liz, in the comments, and I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I'll get this recording out soon.
Amazing. Thank you, Mary. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.